kind of simple. Let's not waste any more time. We need to collect certain things. You know what to collect. We're going to put it together. And this needs a little bit more publicity. Okay, that's one of the things that should have been done, but nevertheless, never late than better late than never. So let's do that. One, let's not waste time with the Pollution Control Board. We are going to demand a few things. One of the things that we're going to demand is continuous monitoring. See, so they got away with one set of nonsense. So that will be exposed and shown to them. And they have lost all the credibility. And our Panchayat itself, if they want to support them, and they need to fund their measurement. They need to fund the measurement. There are couple of things that we will eventually work out with them. It's not as expensive as they think. The Panchayat can easily afford that. They cannot say, I don't have the budget and all that. They cannot say. Between Pollution Control Board and the Panchayat, they have to come up with the money. The money, the equipment will be held not by them. It will be a reputed equipment, and it will be installed in a place that we say, not at the plant, a bit further, and in a place where we know we can definitely measure. So this is something that we can first move about and measure it in different locations, and then decide, where is it. So because we don't need to pay somebody to measure these things, and we can continuously measure these things, we will have details. We won't have a whole lot of VOCs to be measured with that equipment, because for each of those VOCs that we need to measure, it needs newer cartridges and newer devices and newer attachments and so on. So there is a limitation. So the rest of it, once you have the fundamentals, you see, we have at least about 10 or 20 parameters to measure. 5 or 6 matches, and the rest of them we can assume that they will fit into one of those tables. Actually, experts are of the opinion that you don't even have to measure them. These are all been measured, verified, and tabulated according to the machine types. So we know that. But the only thing we do not know is how far does it reach. Let's say I take it to 5 kilometers away. I take it to 3 kilometers away. Can I measure some of these things? How much different is it measuring 1 kilometer away versus 3 kilometers away? See, we need to establish. Some of the people who live in Kumarat and further in Aramula and all that, they think that they are not being affected. Or let's say in Aratura. Maybe because the river and the wind direction, they will get cleaned out. Let's say in Koipura, just before the bridge. And if you install it there and have it measured, and on a real working day, if you measure them, I tell you, I'm pretty sure that it gets up to there, when the wind blows in that direction. So there is something that you cannot tell. It'll take many days to many weeks to tell. You see, during when the day is cold, let's say this guy operates on a certain day, the following day, there are some heavy metals inside here. They will settle down. It's more like the one in Bhopal, the gas that settles in heavy, but during the daytime when the sun gets warm, it will rise up. So there are certain patterns in these gases. We do not know. I can ask some people who have done this kind of thing, and only when you get you see, sometimes there are things that you don't know what to ask until you saw a few of those things. It becomes real to you, then you know what else to ask. Right? So too much information all of a sudden is not good. But this much is real. You can take it to the bank. What the studies that have done in real plants, the statistics that has been done, the people who have got sick, how many versus in places that they don't have a plant. So it's all about comparison. That's how these things are done. Statistics, but on a wider scale, versus this. Where there's plant, these are the incidences. Where there's no plant, these are the incidences. And then do you need to have measurements? Yes. And not all of them have measurements indicated, because all of them are now going by the table, which is actually a very fair method of going. But we want to know. We want to know how far does it reach. Wouldn't we like to know? I think we will like to know. It's not too much. The other one is to put these guys on a world air quality index. But then you will only get very fundamental readings. Particle 2.5, particle PM10, PM. So it's not worth sacrificing the whole land just to meet his greed and the token handouts he gives to some politicians and so on. Not worth the trouble. And it's not worth just the claim that they will use socio-economic and all that terms. There's no socio-economic terms as a trade-off versus maybe 4 or 5 people from, and some of them are not local people. They came from somewhere else, maybe Bangladesh or maybe Myanmar or Bengal. Those are the people he probably gives jobs to, outsiders. Locals might be very little that works in this plant. And he has to definitely move this plant somewhere else. At least this bitumen mixing cannot be here. It cannot be done in our land. That is for sure. You tell him upfront, it's a deal. You can't. You can't. Regardless of what politicians stand for, how much their money they get. No. When people protest enough, and when there's a trade-off, the government will decide it's not worth fighting this. We need to take it to that level. We need to cross that point, and then the government will say, okay, fine, but you got to go. Thank you very much for all the money, but you got to go. We want that situation. We want that to happen quicker. And there's no point waiting and a few more people getting sick, and there's no point. Let's do it faster. Time is of essence. Time is critical here. There's a sense of urgency that should kick in. And our people should realize this one. Don't sit cold. I know there has been some setbacks, but this time it's not going to be like that. So trust the people who are saying this one. If you can't trust me, see, I told you, I am in here for you. I don't breathe the air there. I got no special benefits by doing all this. But I wanted to see whether there was any. Once I was convinced that 2 things were convinced. You got cheated by Pollution Control Board. Kutigarden and Pollution Control Board conspired and cheated him. And they hoodwinked their cause. That's one thing. And that alone should make you angry. Number 2. Alright? This is your life and death issue. It's just not simply dropping dead. That would have been easy. This is about getting sick, slowly suffering, paying money to somebody, hospitals draining all your money, and then dying. And you drag a whole lot of people in your families together with them. Not worth the trouble. Alright? Eventually we may have to take a class action suit, where we have to drag a lot of Panchayat members, probably drain them, bankrupt them. And probably we have to bankrupt a few politicians who kept quiet. I know what they're going to do. They are all going to dump it on the Kala. The Kala is PCB. Pollution Control Board. Veena George is going to tell you exactly that. How do I know? The Kala, when the Kala, my grandmother told me this story. So along the way, whatever expense happens, everything is on the Kala. Anything that screws up is on the Kala. Like that, this one you can put everything on PCB because they are the ones who are totally responsible for it. How does that sound for a story? Might be looking like a joke, but I'm dead serious.